friend. I was just admiring the rainforest. It's very different from where I live. There's so many trees and rain and different animals. In fact, there are animals that live in the rainforest that we're pretty sure we've never even seen. Does it look like where you live? I've never lived anywhere that looks like this. But I'm pretty sure that you have a piece of the rainforest in your home. What is this little piece of the rainforest that we all probably have? Chocolate. And not just chocolate. Avocados come from the rainforest. And without avocados, we wouldn't have guacamole. Then there's coconuts, cashews, Brazil nuts from the rainforest. Then, of course, there's also vanilla and sugar. And boy, do we eat a lot of sugar. And then there's also tea and coffee and medicines. In fact, some of those medicines even help treat cancer. It's amazing. Then there's also citrus, like lemons and grapefruit. And while we're talking about fruit, consider these rainforest lovelies. Bananas, guavas, which I don't have right now, mangoes, pineapple, and even tomatoes. That's right. Not only are tomatoes technically a fruit, they're also originally from the rainforest. And then there's lovely, lovely spices like cayenne, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and turmeric. Truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of turmeric. Do you like bouncy balls? Okay, well, what about cars? Maybe you're more of a bicycle type? Yeah, well, rubber used to make bouncy balls and tires was originally from the rainforest. So not only did we get all of this stuff from the rainforest, there's also plants and animals that we haven't even talked about. I think it's time for a rainforest celebration. And while mangoes and cloves are cool, I think it's time to go back to that little piece of the rainforest that you and I enjoy so much. Chocolate. It's time to make a cake. Now we're gonna make a cake, a chocolate cake, and not just any old chocolate cake. This is a chocolate cake you can make, a chocolate microwave mug cake. But before we do that, let's talk about chocolate. See, when I say chocolate, you're probably thinking of something like these chocolate chips or maybe your favorite chocolate bar. But that's not how chocolate comes out of the rainforest. It looks more like this. Let's go back to the beginning, okay? So, chocolate comes from the cacao tree, which grows pods, which are kind of like really large seeds, and inside these pods are beans. So once they get the beans out, people ferment those beans, which means that they put them in bacteria or a yeast that slowly breaks down the bean into something else over time. And then those beans are dried and roasted. This is a lot like what we do with coffee, because those beans are also dried and roasted before we use them. So once we have these roasted beans,
We have chocolate.
no. Once we have roasted the beans, we open up the shell and we find inside these cacao nibs.
Are, cacao nibs chocolat?
Yes and no. They certainly won't taste like chocolate that you're thinking about. So these nibs are then ground down into a cocoa mass, which looks like a giant chocolate bar. But it certainly doesn't taste like a chocolate bar that you're probably thinking about. This chocolate mass is then heated to become chocolate liqueur, cocoa butter, and cocoa solids, a lot like this powder here.
Finally. May I have some, please?
I guess, if you really want some.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate liqueur, cocoa butter, and cocoa solids are all chocolate, but they certainly don't taste sweet. For that, we need to add sugar.
You could have told me.
I just did. Now, these chocolate chips are more what people think about when they think chocolate. Sweet and delicious.
What? May I have some, please?
Yes.
That's where it is. Yep. Chocolate.
Now, you try some cocoa powder that's unsweetened and some chocolate chips. Tasty.
Go ahead. Try it.
Exclamations. Maybe I don't like chocolate. I'm beginning to think that maybe I just like sugar.
Yeah, sugar helps.
Speaking of sugar, let's make a cake. For this, you're going to need a microwavable mug. Now, we're going to mix our dry ingredients into our mug. A 1/4 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then we're going to mix that in just a little bit. Then you're gonna crack the egg into the mug. You'll want an adult's help for this because otherwise you'll end up with some eggshell in your cake and that wouldn't taste very good. Right. And now mix that in really well. Okay, and now it's time to add the wet ingredients. So you're gonna pour in 3 tablespoons of milk. And the oil. 3 tablespoons as well. Mix that together. All right, and don't forget the 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. Now at this point, you don't have to add the chocolate chips, but I'm going to.
Good call.
So now that this is all really well mixed together, we just need a microwave. Cook it on high for 1.5 minutes or longer, depending on your microwave. Now, remember to check the middle portion of your cake to make certain that it's cooked all the way through, and if not, just microwave it a little bit longer. Now, after all this talk of rainforests and chocolate and sugar, remember, without the rainforests, we would not be able to experience delicacies such as chocolate. So, now you get to enjoy your little piece of the rainforest. Jonathan!
By the way, that pineapple is still totally part of the rainforest.